right, welcome back in. Fresh takes. Russo and Felice, the return after have been in a very extended break, we'll call it. Anyway, though, Paul Russo, across from me as always, man, myth, legend himself, Nick Felice. Nick, always good to see you. I know it's a little bit colder this morning, in all honesty, so you're back in hoodie Nick mode. I see.
Yeah, happy allergy season, Paul.
For those who celebrate.
Uh, yeah. So how you been doing?
Good stuff.
Feels like it's been a month since we've done one of these.
Yeah, it's been 20 something days. I'm
And
stuffed up. It's miserable.
now Paul's big buddies with Lee Bryce.
I don't know about that.
Did you get to meet him?
No,
No.
no.
How was the performance?
It was all right. It was good. I mean, I don't
There's
know.
no
I'm
Eric
not
Church.
overall. I'm not the biggest Lee Bryce guy, but yeah,
No Eric Church, huh?
he's no chief. No chief, that's for sure. Um,
But I'm
I don't
looking
know. How
forward
about
to this
you?
podcast, Paul.
You had yourself. I don't want to jump too far out or have
Yeah.
Speaking of Saturday, you had a road trip Saturday. I saw this past weekend.
Yes, I went to Buffalo, North Buffalo there for a heartbreak of Penny and lacrosse. But you know, they well, they frankly blew it, but they they had a great season though. So I mean, there's nothing. I mean, they're a young team. They only lost two seniors, so there's nothing for them to hang their heads about. So yeah, it was a tough loss for them, but you know, got the mileage in.
As long as that check clears, right?
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to this podcast, Paul. I know I'm not the biggest hockey fan like you, but our
Like,
teams are going at it in the Eastern Conference Finals.
yeah. So, yeah, you kind of mentioned that a little bit there, but yeah, we have movement already in the Stanley Cup Finals. We have a slot locked in.
Only three left.
Well, I say I'm not the biggest hockey fan. I know he's off screen, but shout out to Caleb, who's joining us here at Finger Lakes One for the summer. He's a big hockey guy. Caleb, who's your favorite hockey team? I don't know if we got that yesterday. Oh, that's right. So at least you have class. I'll go ahead and say that. But yeah, let's jump right in. I know we'll do hockey first because I know that's fresher on the brain. But we already have the Avs advancing and locking themselves in 4-0. I didn't Sweeps to me are always, like I say, I say this and I think in every series sport, like sweeps to me are always pretty difficult to do.
Unless you're
So
the Brooklyn Nets.
credit to credit due with the Avs, right? Because like they've arguably been the best team out west all year. I've kind of leaned on them probably being consistently the best out west all year. I think you could make the case that, obviously the Oilers, I think for a little bit I was kind of on the Flames train, but yeah, it quite the interesting deal. I know I want to kind of talk a little bit about, McDavid and Draisaitl a little bit, but and plus, Nick, you mentioned, right, our teams in the East, Tampa Bay and the Rangers squaring off against each other, and like I said, let's start out west here. Colorado advancing overtime victory yesterday. Last night, like 7 minutes into the game off a power play, I'm like, all right, well, that's done. And like I look at the score at one point, I'm like, oh, McDavid's doing McDavid things. And next thing I know, it's like, oh, the Avs decided to just take the long way home to do the sweep. So I'm not too sure how much of the game you saw. I kind of didn't really bother with it too much. Like I said, I kind of thought that, like I said, I didn't anticipate sweep, but the way the games were going, and I guess really the main headline throughout this is going to be goaltending. I guess with the Oilers, it has been for the better part of, I guess, really, to be fair, McDavid's career, at least at the pro level, has been goaltending, and will they ever kind of settle on somebody? But I think that's a little bit of a different discussion. But what are your thoughts on the Avs? I know there will be minus Kadri the rest of the way it sounds. But, that being said, they do got their high flyers, kind of sticking with them here and staying healthy. And like I said, I mean, they've probably been the best team out west all year, to be fair.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I'm not the biggest hockey fan, but I catch the games every once in a while, but not too much of the Western Conference. But But when you're Edmonton, you have two of the best players in the league. That just means they must not have enough help around them. So they gotta, improve that. Even though I did like their goaltender, Mike Smith, this year, but
Ooh.
he was up and down. But he was also battling through injuries. Colorado, they got. You could argue Nathan McKinnon's better than both of them. That's just how good he has been. So, and they're talented all around. They're going to be a tough team to beat either way. Whoever they play in the finals. But when you think of Colorado, you would think they would be a hockey town, up in the mountains like that. But, good for them. Not too often do I can't even remember the last time the Avalanche made the Stanley Cup Finals. So
2000, were they 3? I don't know. I have to double check it, but
yeah, definitely before I started even paying attention to hockey. But good for them. Either way, they are going to lose, just because they're going to play the Rangers, because the Rangers are definitely going to win the Eastern Conference Finals.
well, we'll touch on that in a second.
But hats off to Colorado. Great season in a Western Conference that's, it's been down. It's not been better than the Eastern Conference for a very long time in the NHL, I would say.
So here's a little bit of a fun fact, or not. I don't know. Maybe you know about it, but before they were officially named the Colorado Avalanche after moving from Quebec and Quebec City and being the Nordiques, what were they originally supposed to be called? Do you know?
No, I don't know, but I'm going to take a guess.
Okay.
I'm going to go. They were not the Avalanche.
That would be correct. I would not be asked. I would not be doing this question if they were remaining or started off as the Avalanche.
I'm going to go. They were Colorado, though. They weren't Denver. It's the Avalanche in Denver.
Yes, they do play at the.
Because Tricky.
They do play. I don't know what it's called now. I think it's called Ball Arena or something like that.
Carolina Hurricanes are not in Charlotte.
Yeah, they're in Raleigh.
Yeah, so it gets you sometimes. You don't know. But I'm going to go Colorado skiers.
Ah, so close. The Rocky Mountain Extreme.
That was the mascot.
That was the name for, I think it was like a week. And then there was so much backlash.
Rocky Mountain Extreme.
Yep. You learn something a little bit new every day.
I never heard of a mascot with three different names, but yeah, good thing they didn't do that. But
Well, you brought up a good point though, admittedly, about McKinnon, who he's one of my favorite guys. I've had him on fantasy for in and out the past few years. This year was a year that I did not have him, unfortunately. I think our league is finally catching up a little bit, Nick, on who's good and who's not. But yeah, I do want to shift a little bit of the focus out west here just for a second, kind of play devil's advocate here, because look, I'm a big McDavid guy. I got to see him play obviously in the OHL, going to college in Erie. I saw him play for the Erie Otters a few different times. He's a really good dude. I don't know if he still is. Obviously he's an adult now, so I don't know if he's changed his whatever. But as a 16 and 17-year-old, he was a good dude, I guess. But him and Draisaitl, who they're about as good a pair that the NHL probably has had teammate-wise in really a long time. Obviously, I know. Right, you have the Pens with like Crosby and Malkin, or, I guess you could make the case with the Capitals with Ovechkin and.
Zibanejad and Kreider.
I was going to do a shout out to the Bruins with Marchand and Pasta, but even my Lightning, I guess, would say Stamkos and Kucherov, or if you really want to go on the way back machine with me, LeCavalier and St. Louis.
Not to get off track.
Yeah.
Corey Perry still plays, I see, huh?
Yeah, he's got one more year left on the Lightning deal, so
he's like the Martin St. Louis Marty.
Not really. Well, anyway, you brought up a good point with Smith and goaltending, but to me, what was interesting about the Oilers, I guess, was at the deadline they make the deal more or less to they took on Evander Kane, which was more or less the Sharks were obviously over him, and he's got more baggage than I think he'd like to claim. Obviously, at this point, at the time, I guess I kind of understood it. Right, he gives you a little bit more depth on that front line, but I'd prefer them to have done something with defense. I feel like that's where overall they kind of got failed in the long run. I'm a big proponent of your goalie can only be as good as your defense in front of you. That's something we'll talk obviously a little bit about in my mind with the Lightning situation, in all honesty. But I thought defense they needed to pick it up probably at the deadline. That's probably something to me, at least in the off season for the Oilers, they will need to look at. It's gonna be interesting. I'm not too sure obviously what their pipeline is exactly like. Obviously hockey is probably outside of baseball, probably one of the more unique minor systems and how prospects kind of operate and go in and out and everything like that. But to me, yeah, defense. I agree with you, Nick. I think Smith is good enough, right? And that's sometimes all you need. I mean, it's weird how the NHL kind of operates, right? If you don't have one of these, I guess, generational type guys, whether it's a Vasilevsky or I guess you want to go really further deep like a Brodeur or, even, I guess, more recently a guy like Lundqvist or Rusk or Rask or Pecorine, you kind of have guys who just kind of come in and out for a couple of years, like whoever's kind of riding the high end. Like, that sticks out to me with the Oilers of recent memory was Cam Talbot. Had a really good peak with them of about a season and a half to 2 seasons, but outside of that was not spectacular, but did the job. So, I don't know. Like I said, to me, the Oilers do get some help on defense, help your 2 generational guys out.
They're too far north. They need to come down a little.
I have some
No
bad.
one wants to go all the way up
I have
there.
some bad news for you then, if we want to go down another weirdly weird fun fact route. But at one point, the St. Louis Blues were going to move to Saskatoon.
Is that even farther north?
Yes. So, it's a blessing and a curse, but I deal with. Anyway, let's discuss the East obviously quickly. Both our favorite teams. Yeah, I mean it's not going to be quickly, but the Rangers holding a 2-1 lead. We have a nice little banter going in our, I guess it's a deviant of our fantasy group, Nick, between me, you, and Kiefer.
Yeah.
But
Kiefer is a Capitals fan, but he hates the Rangers.
Which is interesting because as a Lightning fan, I hate the Capitals.
So
but
it's a rock paper scissors kind of deal.
Yeah. But I again, as a Lightning fan, I do the bracket challenge, and of course I have them winning. But like I'm not confident in them. Right? They've pretty much have been playing 2.5 straight years at this point. And let alone any other sport. Any other sport, period's hard to do back to back anyway, or go back to back to back. Right? What the Lightning are doing is, to me, like borderline the impossible at this point. Like I definitely thought, it pleasantly surprised me, right? I guess the Maple Leafs kind of just went ahead and were the Maple Leafs and lived up to every meme that you possibly could have about them. Really surprised that the Panthers just got swept like they did against Tampa. I didn't really expect that, I guess, but maybe the President's Cup curse is returning. I don't know.
Or Florida's their little brother.
Well, yeah, at this point, yeah. But to be fair, I mean, look, sometimes when it's destiny, right? The Rangers, going into this year, I thought that this was, kind of a year that I didn't think they'd make the playoffs, but they'd kind of be in it. They're really good, obviously really young. Igor's been playing on his head. The whole team's running as a really good unit right now, and you can tell that. But like I said, as a Tampa fan, I'm pleasantly surprised, and I think now you're starting to see some, I wouldn't say stamina issues, but the defense has not played well, which in turn has kind of exposed Vasilevsky to what he's kind of been all year. He's kind of been running not quite on fumes in my mind, but certainly tougher. We've seen, at least I have anyway. Usually, goaltenders get, a game break. Sometimes we've seen Vesey this year have a couple game breaks in between starts and stuff like that. And again, the sweep, a little bit of a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, 9 days between the series end between the Panthers and series start between the Rangers for the
Rangers
Lightning.
played like 2 days before.
Right, and they went toe to toe with that Hurricanes team, and I think everybody kind of had the Hurricanes team kind of pinned, possibly to really actually do make noise, to have made noise anyway, and just didn't happen. So, I guess I'll turn it over to you at this point, Nick. Obviously, like I mentioned, this Ranger team is young, and maybe that's got to play into it, right? I mean, they just don't know any better type situation almost. But I mean, Igor's legit. Like, I mean, that dude. I didn't expect you. I'll put it this way: I didn't expect for you to find your next Lundqvist right away, and you probably did, in all honesty.
Yeah, he is a coming out year for him. But keep in mind, he said he didn't have the Rangers in the playoffs this year. He also predicted the Devils to win the Stanley Cup.
I did not predict the Devils to win the Stanley Cup.
Roll the tape.
Do not listen to him, Caleb. Do not listen to him.
Yeah, Igor's better. However you say your goaltender's name,
Vasilevsky
is washed. And yeah, we should be up 3-0. Like, this is ridiculous. Wow. It's 2-1 right now. Yeah, you got to keep in mind, Tampa Bay, that was their first win against the Rangers all year long. We don't care that you're the one-time defending champ with a bubble asterisk championship. Yeah, I mean, it's nice. You guys are tough, but we're going to try to make it 3-1 tonight, win it in America's favorite place, the Madison Square Garden. And yeah, it's going to be
America's favorite place.
Yeah, it's going to be a cakewalk.
Jeez.
I mean, come on. Corey Perry, Chris Kreider, who are you going with?
Neither.
But in all seriousness, this is going to be I don't know if I can handle another game 7. Even though the Pittsburgh one was, but that Carolina one was not stressful really at all. But I don't know.
Yeah, that is true. You guys have gone 7-7.
7-7. And Chris Kreider's already putting up, or is it Benajad's putting up ridiculous points for Rangers playoff history, and so.
Can I just say though, it is good to see old Creeder get his way in here at this point. Like, this is a dude. I think people kind of forget how good Chris kind of.
Well, he improved his.
I'll go ahead and say
goal.
Well, I'll say this: like
plus.
Was at his peak. Like, he's certainly, I'd say, on the other end of his career at this point. But like, this was a dude at his peak who was like really good, but was pinned on a couple really bad Ranger teams. That.
And I know a lot of people. Most people. Who are NHL fans, Rangers are that love-hate team. There are tons of people that do not like the New York Rangers.
I'm indifferent on them.
There's tons that do not like the New York Rangers.
Ask me about the Islanders. There's the New York team that I don't like.
They should be called the Tats or something like that.
What?
They're basically the Mets, Jets, and the Nets.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so I mean, a lot of people not rooting for the Rangers. Definitely that guy who keeps calling the game there, the colored commentator. He definitely hates the Rangers. The guy does it with Seth McDonough.
Chelios?
Ferrero.
Oh, Ferrero. I'm like sitting there like Chelios doesn't really,
He hates the Rangers, but I don't know. It's been a long time since they won the Stanley Cup. Not as long as the Knicks with the NBA championship, but
94.
Yeah, that was before I was born, so I don't know. We were close that one year.
They had the parade 9 days before I was born.
Mm-hmm. It was close that one year when they lost to the Kings, but like you said though, I think Igor is already that new Lundqvist with the team. So on paper, they're ready to start a dynasty because they got a lot of guys that are young and getting better each year. So I'm excited. New York loves its hockey. New York has not won a championship in a long time. I don't give a crap that the stupid soccer team won a championship last year. New York has not won a championship since the New York Giants in 2012, whatever it was.
Yep. Even then, that's New Jersey, so.
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, this should be a fun one to I guess really wrap it up. I don't know if I want to say out with the old, in with the new type deal yet, but you could be kind of looking at something like that, I suppose, for sure.
But Tampa Bay, you got to remember, they have not lost a playoff series since that sweep
Right.
against Columbus.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know. All good things must come to an end. I mean, I've trust me, I've enjoyed the back to back. Hockey's brutal.
But which one did you enjoy more, the bubble or the other one?
I mean,
The other one.
full disclosure, I mean, the way Dallas was acting in that series, I really enjoyed just mopping them. But, I mean, I also am not a big Canadians guy. So, I mean,
Hey, it's the only time you
that
ever.
was enjoyable.
It's the only time
Caleb definitely enjoyed last year's Stanley Cup final, probably.
It's the only time you ever play the Canadians in the Stanley Cup
Yeah,
final.
East versus East because of the way it was. So, all right, let's pivot here. I hate myself, and we'll talk the NBA finals. They're already in the NBA. They're already in the finals. Does it just mean the NBA start like early this year for that? It kind of, it feels earlier. It feels
Only
earlier.
game 3, and I feel like they started the finals like 3 weeks ago.
Well, they did, but I'm talking about the playoffs as a whole. Kind of felt like they started earlier.
yeah,
this
because
year.
the
It was weird.
NHL with the delay.
Yeah. Anyway, 1-1, Golden State and Boston.
Here we are talking about Golden State again.
Yeah, I mean, I tried telling some people this, like, if they're all healthy, like, they're gonna win the West. Like, it's not like that team's any different compared to like when they were, out doing it, I guess originally in that run. I mean, sure, names are different, but I mean, build wise, they're the same, right? I mean, instead of Sean Livingston running around out there, it's Looney or whoever, and I guess Damon Lee and Toscano Anderson or whoever, even though they're bench riding now.
Yeah.
But I will say this: it's been fun. I mean, I don't know how you feel about them overall. It's been a while since we've talked, but I mean, it's fun kind of seeing Clay healthy again. I've been a Clay guy, so anyway.
I have not.
Let's the series intrigues me from a couple different points. I want to start with this. I find that the core 3 for each team oddly mirror each other. Now you may be wondering, Paul, who the hell is the Celtics' third outside of Brown and Tatum?
Who is that?
To me, I classify it as Marcus Smart. He's
Okay, I respect that.
he is the most veteran on that team. He's been there the longest.
I swear, if you were going to say that, Pritchard,
But-
man.
No, I was not going to do Pritchard, aka Larry Bird. But that being said, right? Obviously, offensively, Brown and Tatum and Thompson and Curry act differently, but they're the core offensive units of that team, right? Defensively, it's Smart and Draymond, and they both go about things in similar fashions, which I know we're going to probably touch on the Draymond stuff, but it's kind of funny how they mirror each other a little bit in nature. Like I said, right, the offense goes about in different ways, but the powerhouses behind it are the two core guys kind of leading that charge. And defensively, it's the one core guy leading the charge. There's just been a lot of weird and interesting stuff. So I kind of wanted to start there, kind of see how you felt on it, because it was something I've caught on really the last game in that series 2 nights ago now. So, yeah, just as you mentioned, Nick, now that you think about it, the finals have been going on for 3 weeks. But
Ridiculous.
yeah, I mean, the fact that
Still doesn't come back till tomorrow.
yeah, that's very true. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I know you're not big on either of these teams for fairly obvious reasons and justifiable for your part, but I found it interesting that. To me, anyway, the core 3s really mirror and mimic each other in fashion.
No, you're right. But as a Knicks fan, I am not rooting for Boston, so I guess I have to root for Golden State.
If you have to, but
I can't live with a Boston championship. But I forgot what I was going to say. You know, when you look at these teams, you think of the Celtics, you know, they, other than the Nets series, which that was easy. I mean, all you had to do was beat Bruce Brown. But the last two series, though, against your Heat, and how you doing after that? I haven't talked to you since.
It is what it is.
You're disappointed.
Yeah,
I mean, Tyler here went out.
I mean, we were banged. They were banged up, and I mean, what you gonna do? I mean, the Celtics and Heat have literally been the two best teams in the East all year. So I mean, either one of them would have been fine.
But when you think about the Celtics, they've kind of, you know, they looked like they were going to lose both those series, but an injury comes down, Middleton, a Tyler hero, and they skate by into the finals. The Warriors, now on the other hand, have been beaten up on a pretty bad Western Conference this year, which is kind of crazy that the Eastern Conference is better now. I mean, they beat Denver, they beat Memphis, and they beat Dallas. That's pretty easy to get to the finals, in my opinion, especially Dallas with 10 of the 12 players being ex-Knicks on that team. So, but I mean, the Warriors, they've been there. They have the same, pretty much the same core players that have been here. Celtics have not been here, so it's really going to come down to experience versus inexperience, and you know, how can they handle the pressure? We don't know if Tatum is this guy that can't handle the pressure because he's never been in the spotlight like this. So we don't know if he's that type of player or he's a guy that thrives in these type of games.
Speaking of Tatum, I'll leave it on you. Do you find all this Kobe stuff weird?
What are they saying?
No. Oh, wait. No, it's not anything that they're saying. Like, I guess Tatum, I'm going to call it allegedly because I have a hard time believing you're just out here texting okay, look, maybe it's just my views of things here. I don't know. I find it weird that you're texting a dead dude's number.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, and like I guess he like posted on Instagram and ESPN's wrong with it, but I guess this is happening a couple different times. Like game,
you know, I did
like game 7 against the Heat, he wore the purple armband with 24 on it. So like I don't know. I find it weird. I find it strange. I think part of it may be clout, but Tatum's never struck me as a clout guy, so I don't know. Like it's just a lot. It's just strange to me. It's weird.
Texting Kobe?
Yeah.
It's a little strange. I didn't even know they were friends, but I mean,
I guess it was more like a mentorship type thing than anything else.
Well, Jason Tatum is Amish, so he's already a little strange to begin with. But
I mean, he went to Duke, boy.
Exactly. I did not hear that, but that's a little odd, but I don't know if it's going to help him going forward in these NBA finals, but I don't know. Steph Curry, I mean, they definitely showed up in game 2 after losing game 1. I mean, they dominated the Celtics in game 2. It's going to be interesting to see how they play in Boston. Because what was the Heat series, right? They both won on the road then. Yeah, they won in Boston, and then they won in Miami to end it. So we'll see how the Celtics play at home because they haven't really been defending that home court in these big games. So interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. The Garden's weird. I mean, you got all this type of stuff from whether it was the old TD or the new TD, but all right, let's discuss. I'm a big fan of the way Draymond's been going about things. Like he's always just been one of my favorite. I can't say favorite guys. I like him because I like him because he reminds me a lot of Barkley in the way he just doesn't really care about anything. Like he's making headlines for still going at KD even though apparently their beef is squashed. Like, yeah. Talking, the part that kills me is he's working for TNT as soon as like the buzzer sounds. Like it's hilarious. But I know the headline now for him is like what did you make of the because for me I didn't see a necessary problem with what he did, but like how he was just kind of like plowing through guys to like I guess set screens, but like
Yeah, He had
I don't know,
25
but,
fouls in that game.
a lot of it to me is just like it's the same stuff I think I seeing like people when they play pickup and stuff like that, and they just kind of let it go. So I mean, I don't know, but I'm a big fan of Draymond being back in the headlines for just all this nonsense now.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've seen Draymond in the spotlight like this. So, no, he's not my favorite player. I don't think he's majority of people's favorite player.
Not your favorite player until he's in the Knicks blue next year.
He ain't coming.
What if he does?
Hypothetically, I don't think he's ever leaving.
Hypothetically, he signs with the Knicks.
You know, just because he's a Knick doesn't mean I have to like him. I haven't liked every Knick. I mean, Ronaldo Bachman. Never cared for him.
What about Roddy Tyrioff?
I like Tyrioff. He was good. Nice little, surprisingly short center, but he played.
Yeah. Small ball before small ball.
Yeah. So that's not happening. I'm not even thinking about it. Jalen Brunson now might happen with his father on the assistant coaching staff.
That's true. I forgot about that.
Even though I think we might be losing our associate head coach, Johnny Bryant.
Really?
Might be taking the Jazz job.
Oh.
That's where he came from. So
That's news to me.
well, it's just a rumor. It's nothing like official or anything, but it's just he came from the Jazz.
Back to Draymond.
Yeah, back to Draymond. I mean, that's what he is. He's an instigator. I mean, that's his role. And he averages 6 points a game, gets close to 10 boards, 50 foul chances, and he gets in people's heads. That's what he does. I mean, that's what makes the Warriors good. And he does that while Clay and Steph just shoot the basketball, and they go in and they win the game.
I'm looking up quickly here. Draymond Green this year. Oh, you're close. He averaged 7.5, Nick.
7.5.
7.5 points.
Yeah.
7 assists, 7.3 rebounds. Not bad. That's a 7 across the board.
Yeah. I mean, and he was an all-star. I think he might have been an all-star with those numbers, which is kind of crazy to think.
Well, I mean, we've had that discussion on here about the NBA All-Star game, so you can't be that surprised that's an all-star number. You remember the NBA, the fans voted in Yao Ming for 10 straight years, even though he didn't play for 20. Like, I mean, come on. All this is just a popularity contest at that point.
I mean, Andrew Wiggins, all-star starter.
He probably should have been, though, this year. I'll go on a limb and say he should have been this year.
He should have been an all-star starter. Mm-hmm. Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this guy.
I'll go out on a limb. I'll go out on the limb and say
this is the same guy that picked the Devils in the Stanley Cup Playoffs.
No. Fake news.
But, yeah, I don't know. What do you want me to talk about this series? You know,
I know it's tough for you.
I got the Warriors winning.
You're on the football, aren't you, already?
Yeah.
You're just completely skipping the Pirates.
Hey, the Pirates have been playing better, though.
That's true. Don't let them get hot.
Yeah, don't let them get hot.
I saw they called up Swaggerty, though.
Yeah. It's going to be exciting stuff. Mm-hmm. Hopefully plays tonight.
So you're going Warriors?
I'm going Warriors. I don't care how many games. It's going to take a month to finish it anyway. So I'll go 6.
All right, fair enough. Give me Boston in 7.
Boston.
I'll go ahead and be that guy. Give me Boston in 7. Stupid leprechaun. Hate him. All right. That takes care of, I guess, this edition of Fresh Takes then. We do this thing usually a few times a month at this point. Nick, I know we tossed it to you anyway for the shout out and everything like that, but without giving too much away, we aren't going to do this, I don't think, for another couple weeks yet anyway. But go ahead and maybe give a little bit of a tease of what we got coming up, possibly here coming, what we were discussing.
Oh.
Don't give it fully away, but give a little tease.
Okay. Take yourself back to the year 2012.
All right.
And think about what your favorite thing was throughout the school day. And think about what your least favorite thing was about the school day. They could be the same thing. And that's what we'll be ranking on a podcast coming here soon.
Yeah. We're waiting until after the sports wrap up for NHL and NBA, but yeah.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that one.
Should be exciting stuff. Subscribe, like.
Who are you shouting out?
Oh, I'm shouting out. Yeah, I don't know who I'm shouting out today.
Oh, jeez.
I gotta see.
You're literally going through his contacts right now.
No, I'll go through my calendar to see if there's any birthdays coming up. I do have a dentist appointment coming up. You know, I'm gonna shout out Dr. B. Dr. B. Keeps telling me to get my wisdom teeth taken out, but shout out Dr. B. Maybe someday.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Nick. And your dental work, I guess it's upcoming. Yeah, if you haven't already, like Nick said, like, share, subscribe, all the fun stuff. Get this uploaded too, so that way you can listen as well. We're on Anchor, Spotify, all the fun stuff. So we'll see everybody probably in a couple weeks, if not soon. All right, bye.